Hey everyone, and welcome back to another King Arthur Legends Rise video. So in today's video, guys, we're going to be talking about the most important relics that you should prioritize. Now, if most of you are new or don't know this yet, if you go to the Lake of Avalon where you summon heroes, you have the ability to summon relics with these tokens. They're a little harder to come by, especially if you're free to play or low spender, but the game does have ways for you to get a certain amount per month. They also have plenty of events that come out that give you these things. And then on top of that, just like monthly and daily stuff can get you some shards. The reason I mention that is because also in this area in the lower left corner is a shard shop where you can trade in items that you don't want to trade in for items you do want. The two things that you can trade for here are heroes. So if you trade in duplicate heroes, you get some of these hero shard points. These allow you to then go and maybe get an additional copy of a rare for chivalry purposes or legendaries that you don't have. If you don't have the legendary and you get one of these memory stones, you can then get that legendary hero. So that's really cool. You also have the ability to get relics. Now, they're very highly priced, especially the legendary ones. The rare ones, I think, are more achievable. And the legendaries, while they are good, they are nowhere near necessary, in my opinion. This is for the early to mid-game players who want to progress through the game with rare heroes because they take a lot less currency to level up, and they can still get the job done without having all of these fancy legendary heroes. So how do you get those points? Where if you go to the Exchange Shards tab and click on the top right button here, this is where your relics are. So anytime you summon a relic, you'll get 10 shards of that relic. Every time. So the common relics that you trade in, they'll give you 1 point per relic shard point. So if you pull one of the common relics, you can then trade it in for 10 points. I know it's not a lot, especially whenever the relics over here cost $37.50 or $52,000. However, the uncommons are much easier. So for every uncommon relic that you pull, you'll get 50 points. So that's a lot closer, at least to the rares over here. The game also gives you some of these relic summon tickets where you're guaranteed anywhere from like a common to a rare relic. You can find this in the power-up guide where you're doing your daily missions. Every day, you can get at least 4 of these tarnished summon tickets. So you get 2 from doing the favor dungeons, and then you get 2 from doing the equipments. Now, it says you can summon a common to a rare hero relic shard, but anytime you see these chance tickets, you should always assume it'll be the lowest. On the weeklies, it gives you 1 of these tokens, 1 of these tickets per element. So you can get 4 of these tickets a week by doing your weeklies. It also gives you 1 of these shard relic tokens as well right here. So if you do 30 equipment dungeon battles, you get 1 of these precious summon tickets a week. So 4 of these. And that's an uncommon to a legendary. You do have the ability to summon a legendary, but again, assume that it's going to be uncommon. And remember, we already saw that you can trade these in for 50 points. So every week, you're getting at least 50 points here. So this can stack up pretty quickly. The reason why I'm mentioning this is because I think a lot of people, they might end up pulling, a rare relic for Kay, right? So Kay comes with her storm relic, but maybe you pull the fire relic and you're like, oh, I might use that. You're not going to, I promise. And that's the point of this, is if you have some of the relics that I don't list here, you should trade them. You should trade them in and get relics for the heroes that truly matter. All right? So I do want to preface that. Now, let's get into the list. And the other thing that you're going to see with this list, and we're going to go through the legendaries and rares. For the uncommons, I think you should keep all of the uncommon ones and then just trade them in, because that's what makes the uncommons valuable, is most of their kit stays the same, and you're just swapping in between elements, and a lot of them are even good towards the end game. So you should just cash those in for sure. But I digress. Okay, so starting with legendaries. This is the thing that you'll see with legendaries. And this is a general rule. There are exceptions. But if the hero themselves is good, having options to their other relics will also be a good thing. So let's take Irrit here, for example. Irrit is probably the best damage dealer in the game now. I'm pretty sure she has outpaced Bedivere, and that's because she just has a lot of really good support around her in her favor, which is the Serpent favor. We're not talking about that today, but Irrit, her kit, which is in this game solely based around your passives, right? If the passives are good, the hero's going to be good. The relics will matter to an extent, but the passives are what make the character good. Irrit's passives are fantastic. It gives herself and her allies in the Serpent favor crit rate, effect accuracy. It gives herself, crit damage boost, hit accuracy boost, charges her attack gauge, also gives her additional attacks. She's just pumping out a lot of damage. Now, she comes with her Frost Relic, and her Frost Relic is really good. She has a really high damage dealing ability, single target on her skill 3. On her skill 2, there's no damage here, but it's a lot of good boosts. Now, this is good for, Arena. However, not very good for auto runs, right? Because the way that the game has this set up, it's not great to do auto with needing to flip back and forth between abilities. Now, if you go to her relics, a lot of this stuff is very similar. So if you go to her Storm Relic, very similar move here. On her skill 2, no damage. On her Fire Relic, she does have damage. Single target damage on her skill 2, and then skill 3 is an AoE. On her skill 3 for her Wind Relic is also an AoE. So you have mix and matching abilities here, but they're almost very similar, just some minor nuances between them. But she still gets all of those amazing buffs from her passive. So Irrit with a Frost Relic is amazing. Irrit with a Flame Relic, also amazing. Irrit with a Storm Relic, also amazing. So you want to look out for Irrit's relics, because if she is the best damage dealer in the game, and you're going up against maybe, say, a Frost enemy, if you don't have the Storm Relic, this makes it a little more difficult. But if you have the ability to trade in, let's say like Bedivere. Bedivere has a Flame Relic, and he has a Storm Relic. But Bedivere gets all of his value from his skill 2. His skill 2 on his Frost Relic gives him a critical strike rate increase, which makes him easy to build. And if he crits on his skill 2, he gets additional damage. Now on his Flame Relic, he has a similar thing, but he does not have the critical strike rate increase. On his Storm Relic, he does get the critical strike rate increase, but you lose out on a lot of damage. So you don't even want any of his relics. That's the thing. If you pull one of Bedivere's additional relics, might as well trade it in if you can get one of Irrit's relics, because Irrit's passives work way better with her relics than Bedivere's. So that's our first character. Our first character is Irrit. Flame Relic and Storm Relic, both amazing. Bedivere, he's fine. You don't need any of his relics. Morgan, same exact thing as Irrit. All of her relics are fantastic because Morgan's passives are what make her deadly. Now, when it comes to Sigrun, Sigrun's true value is in her marks and her passive in Queen's Counter. You don't need any additional relics. Her Storm Relic's very good. It's very good. Reducing attack gauge, attack decrease, debuff, and putting mark with extremely high multipliers. Amazing. But you will never use her. You'll just never use her. So why hold on to a Storm Relic whenever you could trade it in for one of Morgan's stuff or Irrit's, right? So, quick recap. Irrit and Morgan. All the relics are amazing. If you have the ability, trade them in. Anya, same thing. Fire relic, storm relic. Fantastic. Hunt them down, find them. She is one of the best characters in the game. If you can mix and match her elements, it'll make her worlds better. Now, Merlin is very good without any additional relics. His Storm Relic is good. It's got some pretty cool manipulation for abnormal status. And his skill 2 on his Wind Relic gives some pretty interesting buffs while also putting up a unique debuff. His Flame Relic is very unique too because it gives attack gauge disruption, also really good buffs to your heroes, but it's not needed. Okay? So far, all of Irit's relics are good. All of Morgan's relics are good. All of Anya's relics are good. Tristan, you can farm his relics for free. Okay? If you pull them, I trade them in because you can farm them pretty easily in the clan shop. And your clan shop currency is eventually going to outpace the amount of times that you can use it. So if you ever want his Flame Relic, go ahead. But all you need is his Storm Relic. Nika, same exact thing as Morgan and Irit and Anya. I know you're seeing a trend here, right? The best characters in the game benefit from having additional relics because you always want to be able to use them. So if you have their relic, voila. Gillian. Gillian is one of those heroes that in the past her Frost Relic was absolutely amazing, but since Nika has come out, she's kind of been outclassed a little bit as the best healer. She's still a great hero in regards to attack gauge reduction and things like that, but her Frost Relic is still very good, and if people don't have Nika, if you do see this Frost Relic, it's probably going to make a world of difference for you to pass levels. I still see some people in the hard dungeon using Frost Gillian. So if this comes up, it's probably worth going after. Now, I don't know his name, but what's up? I think that's how you pronounce it. He's a French content creator. He put out a really great video talking about how Saris could be the highest damage dealer in the game with her Flame Relic. Which is an AoE, but the whole reason is it scales off of effect accuracy, and there's plenty of heroes in this game that can buff effect accuracy. On top of that, you do have specific equipment that not only, but can give you 30% additional effect accuracy in the accuracy set. So you can really pump up the damage on this. They do have a offer in the shop right now for 25,000 gems. I just don't think that's worth it. But he did make a good point as to why that Fire Relic would be good. I don't think... Okay, so this is random enemies where this is an AoE, and then the Frost Relic doesn't do any damage. So that's why the Flame Relic is good for her. I haven't seen any cases of this yet. All of the other heroes here, you don't need any of their additional relics. Now, there is a case to be made for Lot, and I didn't mention Fire Sergius just because this is farmable. You want to farm this. The attack gauge increase is amazing. All right? This is one of the key pieces. I've made countless videos about Fire Sergius. When it comes to Lot, his Fire Relic is quite good just because on the skill 2 you have Brainwash, and Brainwash is a great abnormal status ability for Forbidden Dungeon Hard. The Storm Relic also has it, but only on the skill 3. So that's why the Flame Relic is a little bit better. Just because you can use it on skill 2, it makes it a little bit easier for people to achieve this instead of having a bunch of vigor sets. So in recap, okay? Sergius, Flame Relic, important. Lot, Flame Relic, also important. Saris, Flame Relic, important. Gillian, Frost Relic. Any of Nika's relics. Any of Anya's relics. Any of Morgan's relics. And any of Irit's relics. For legendaries. Now when it comes to the rares, this is much easier. The only rare heroes that you need additional relics for are these heroes. First one, Turin. Turin's fantastic hero. Her Frost and her Flame Relic bring unique things to them. So the Flame Relic brings evasion rate. This is huge. I've shown this on Jeskelheg. So the equipment dungeon for attack, speed, and crit. This is an amazing set. If you're using Cormac, you can bring in the Frost Relic, and she'll be a positive element, so she'll take less damage. And she gives defense increase and effect resistance, which is very good in that dungeon, along with the recovery over time. So if you see Turin's relics, you want to scoop them up. This also allows you to use her in Gorgos early on, because it's going to be hard to keep her alive with her Storm Relic, which is her base relic. So if you see her Flame Relic or Frost Relic, guys, trade in the other relics and grab these. These are really, really important. They're going to help your account progression. Okay? Next is Cormac. His Frost Relic is the most important for sure. He is probably the best AoE damage dealer from the rare standpoint, hands down. Get this, makes things a lot easier. Everything else, just throw it away. You see where we're getting at. Turin's 2 relics, Cormac's Ice Relic, Rosier's Flame Relic, extremely high damage dealing skill, 355 multiplier, and on top of that, you get this Hook of Death ability, which can go up to 40%, and you get a lot of DOTs. Now, Sarah's Storm Relic you can actually get from the adventure, so you don't need to pull for it, but if you do see it and you want it early, go grab it. It's very good. You can use her in Jeskelheg. I've talked about this a lot of times. It's the element that matters. It's none of the skills that matter here. Her passives, just like Morgan or Irit, is what matters on Sarah. And then last but not least, this is the only other character that you need, and this is Bodwin. Bodwin is another one of those heroes that is going to really scale into the end game. He's great for Crom Crouch early on. I've made a few videos about this, so if you're struggling with Crom Crouch, this ability here on his passive, this abnormal status thing, this allows for one of your heroes not to get eaten by Crom Crouch, okay? But other than that, he does scale really great into Forbidden Dungeon, or for the Forbidden Dungeon hard with any of his relics. You want to switch between these relics in Forbidden Dungeon hard because of the sheer damage. It really helps your damage dealer stay alive, especially whenever the enemies are doing single target damage. And then on top of that, it gives defense increase as well. Abnormal status is a big thing in the Forbidden Dungeon. He's also giving all of your allies defense increase. And you also have abnormal status immunity, shields at the beginning. All of that stuff is really, really important. But that's it. You see, all of these other heroes, you might think, oh, maybe I'll use that one day. You won't. All of Bodwin's relics, you'll use. Sarah's Frost Relic, you will use. Rosier's Flame Relic, you will use. Cormac's Ice Relic, you will use. Oh, I did not mention Arthur's Storm Relic, but you get this really early on in the story or adventure mode. So this is also a very good one. But again, you get it for free. Don't pay for it. And then Turin's stuff. That's it. Guys, that's all you need. Okay? Do not waste your relic shards on anything else. If you have, Clementine's Frost Relic, trade it. Okay? She's good. It's a good relic. I understand that there's always cases for all of these things, but if you want to progress, get rid of this garbage and get the relics on the heroes that matter, okay? I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, please like it. Give me a comment. What do you think? And I'll catch you on the next one. See ya.